There you go.
Tell Grant to stay home.
Well, we didn't have the meeting going?
Okay, can people hear us now? Let's see.
Oh, let me put the video.
Yes, okay, we can be heard now.
Great.
Start over. Call the meeting to order.
Greg,
There
Okay,
you go.
okay.
okay, so we called the meeting to order. I explained that this is a one-item agenda meeting to consider Amy Pasquarello for the position of superintendent. Amy's our current assistant superintendent. I went through the process, which is that we, through the direction and facilitation of Alicia Mallon, our representative from the Mass Association of School Committees. She facilitated 2 meet and greets that happened on September 21st, I believe. The following week, we had 2 days of interview panels. The public and families and different stakeholder groups were asked to express their interest in participation, and people expressed an interest, in a panel for each of those 4 groups was chosen. We had interviews on Monday, the next week, which I think was 27th of October, with the teachers and staff, as well as followed by the administrators, both from the school and the city. The next day, we had a student panel, be able to interact with Amy and ask her questions, followed by the families and community member panels. Everybody was invited and expected that participate in the panels to submit feedback, since they had their ability to ask whatever questions were on their mind. And we did receive feedback from almost everybody. The people that attended in person were also welcome to submit feedback. That's feedback is incorporated as well. So I will read feedback that we received so that public knows. From the community meet and greets, the respondents were unanimous in their support for the candidate as the next superintendent of Gloucester. Strengths highlighted were a range of leadership, experience, and relationship management qualities as the candidate's key strengths, with a widespread positive tone. What support do you think the candidate would need in order to be successful? They believe the candidate would benefit most from leadership development, team building, professional growth, and strong community and resource support. They specifically identified the need to fund supports in the district and to improve family district relationships, as well as the support of the school committee. The teacher and staff panel, the respondents from the teachers and staff survey were overwhelmingly positive with unanimous yes. Your impression of the candidate from your interview panel, respondents identified the candidate's professionalism, confidence and knowledge of the district as positively displayed. A genuine enthusiasm and willingness to work with stakeholders was noted. What strengths? The respondents frequently highlighted the candidate's vision, compassion, knowledge of the district, approachability, and active listening and relationship building skills as their main strengths. What supports do you think the candidate would need in order to be successful? They believe the candidate would benefit most from support and staff development, collaboration with leadership, engaging families in the community, and receiving strong administrative backing. Other important areas include building trust, managing budgets, and effective communication with stakeholders. Is there anything else you would like to share with the committee? Respondents were overwhelmingly positive in their support for the candidate. They highlighted her poise, and consistency, and were optimistic about the possibility of a smooth transition. From the school and city administrators panel, they were overwhelmingly positive with unanimous yes. The impressions of the candidate, they were very positive in their assessments, especially in the area of leadership, authenticity, and communication skills. What strengths do they believe the candidate brings to the position of superintendent? They identified strengths of leadership, vision, compassion, district knowledge and experience, approachability and listening, relationship building, student achievement focus, organizational and task management, community engagement, clear communication skills, educational leadership experience, and curriculum expertise. They indicated strong support for the candidate's abilities in these areas. What support do you think the candidate would need to be successful? They believe the candidate would benefit most from support and staff development, collaboration with leadership, engaging families in the community, and strong administrative backing. Other important areas include building trust, managing budgets, and effective communication with stakeholders. Is there anything, we asked if there anything else you would like to share with the committee? They were overwhelmingly positive in their support for the candidate. They highlighted the skills and qualities of leadership and readiness, candidate evaluation and selection, team and organizational management, district leadership considerations, student support and improvement, stakeholder and community engagement, school communication practices, and leadership accessibility. And the student panel, they were also a unanimous yes and overwhelmingly positive. Please share impression. They said the candidate was viewed very favorably, especially in terms of leadership, authenticity, and communication. What strengths do they believe the candidate brings? Candidate's vision and compassion, kindness, knowledge of the district, approachability, and ability to build relationships. The overall sentiment is highly positive, with nearly all respondents highlighting strengths that would benefit the district. What support do you think the candidate would need in order to be successful? They believe the candidate would benefit from support and staff development, collaboration with leadership, engaging families in the community, and strong administrative backing. Other important areas include building trust, managing budgets, and effective communication with stakeholders. Is there anything else you would like to share? They were overwhelmingly positive. They noted the candidate's leadership, the evaluation and selection process, and aspects of team management and district leadership. Other comments focused on student support, community engagement, and communication practices and readiness for the role. I will also, let's see what else am I reading. I am going to, we checked references on Amy, and you know, in summary, the references were from people that supervised Amy and someone who worked with Amy, a couple of people that worked with Amy. Questions were asked regarding leadership and vision, communication and collaboration, instructional leadership, operational management, equity and inclusion, and general strengths and areas for growth. There was unanimous confidence that Amy would be a highly successful superintendent. They emphasized her deep care for academic improvement and her extensive experience, love, and commitment to Gloucester Public Schools as key factors that would contribute to her success in this role. References consistently cited Amy's leadership qualities as collaborative, inspiring, empathetic, and communicative, noting her exceptional ability to handle difficult discussions and find solutions where all stakeholders feel heard. They described her as someone who builds strong professional relationships based on trust, helps people see a way forward, demonstrates deep knowledge of instructional leadership and curriculum, and maintains an unwavering focus on what is in the best interest for students. Common descriptors included collaborative, thoughtful, professional, action-oriented, calm, accessible, and responsive. Additional feedback, a common theme highlighted was Amy's exceptional ability to take on difficult situations and conversations, working to understand the issues, involving others in solving problems, and making people feel genuinely heard. Amy's ability to find solutions and common ground, and in cases of disagreement, her commitment to always stand by what is in the best interest of students were also highlighted. The strike is the best example of her ability to remain calm in the most difficult of circumstances. Amy's ability, other things highlighted were Amy's ability to build trust and bring people, staffs, or families, depending upon the situation, together to work on a common goal to inspire them. A great listener looks for understanding through listening. Amy has high standards for herself, takes responsibility, and always works on self-reflection and improving her approach for better results and outcome. She has an extensive knowledge of curriculum, data, professional development, and a pattern of success. She's very organized, was successful at improving learning at East Gloucester School significantly by working with staff and professional learning communities to achieve better student achievement. They cited excellent communication skills with staff, family, students. She's professional and makes people feel heard. She's approachable, accessible, and reasonable. She's a wonderful blend of fortitude and willingness to collaborate to come to a good solution. Operational and budget management as the assistant superintendent. Her role is responsible for Title I and other grants. Amy does an excellent job in managing these funds and navigating potential cuts in funding. Amy is a strong contributor to budget planning. And Amy demonstrated a clear vision in the layout of learning environments at the new East Veterans School, learning space adjacencies, emphasizing flexibility and the importance of extended learning spaces. Additionally, while principal at East Gloucester, Amy fostered a strong sense of community and played a key role in bringing East Gloucester and Veterans School communities together. Cited areas for growth that she would benefit from support and training and learning, including learning how to develop others and delegate. Quote, Amy tends to take on a lot. As a new superintendent, Amy would benefit from the Massachusetts Association of School Superintendents new superintendents program and a mentor where there's strong support in many areas, including budgeting and operational management. So that concludes that. And then we also have a letter of endorsement from the administrators in the district. It says, Dear Gloucester School Committee members, we are writing to inform you that the principals and director of all schools in Gloucester wholeheartedly endorse the candidacy of Miss Amy Pasquarello for the position of superintendent of schools. In our capacity as leaders at the school building level, we believe there is no other candidate more knowledgeable or more deserving than Miss Pasquarello for this position. Many of us have worked closely with Amy as a principal and now as the assistant superintendent. She has been a leader through good times and in challenging times as well. Amy has always proven her ability to work hard and collaboratively, and through it all has continuously put students first in all of her decisions. We are excited at the possibility of having Amy as our leader for the future success of Gloucester Public Schools. Amy's knowledge, experience, and collaborative skills are the attributes we are looking for in our next visionary leader. Thank you for your time and thoughtful consideration. And this is signed by Andrea Perella, Director of the Gloucester Preschool, Jody Genotti, Principal at Beeman, Matt Fusco, Principal at East Veterans, Dan Jewett, Principal at Plum Cove, Talina Immel, Principal at West Parish, Mike Titus, Principal at O'Malley Innovation Middle School, and Dr. John Perello, Principal at Gloucester High School. So that is information to share with the public. Does anybody have any comments, questions on the process or thoughts on how we believe this almost 2-month process has involved people and opportunities for participation?
Jane Gober. I think it was a good process. I was really pleased with the participation in the stakeholder panels. I wish we'd received more feedback from those who were not on the panels and that we'd had more people come to the meet and greets, but that's a choice. I know everyone's schedules are busy. But I really thank those who did participate and who did send us their feedback, whether it was after our interview last week on the website or after the panels. I think we opened this to, to all the stakeholders in the community. And I'm just grateful for everyone who participated and contributed.
Thank you. So when you first brought the matter forward to us and how what the suggestion was to do the process, I was very hesitant. I thought about the community thinking it was rushed. I thought about transparency and how could we possibly go through this process in the time period that we did, knowing that of the 8 different processes I've experienced hiring a superintendent before were never like this one. So I went into this with open ears and open mind, but hesitant to agree to this is what we're going to do. But after listening to this school committee and all the concerns that were addressed and listening to Alicia and knowing she has great experience coming from MASC, and then talking with the community, because I did have several people reach out to me that were very concerned. 1 about the process, 2 about who's going to make this decision, and 3 who the candidate was. But having gone through this process, I believe we were extremely transparent. We were very, very inviting to the public. I mean, we had 30 people apply almost immediately, well, within a week or so, to be on the panels. They attended very engaging, gave us excellent feedback, and honest feedback, because I followed up with a couple of them to say, you know, did you not write something that you think is a concern? And the people that I followed up with didn't want to add anything and were very confident in their positive support for Amy. So overall with the process, I think it really turned out to be a good process, knowing we have a very capable candidate in-house. And I think this process allowed us to focus on that one candidate, where because many in our community know her and we've worked with her, we were able to dig into her experience in a way that we wouldn't have been able to, or wouldn't have the ability to by interviewing other candidates. As some of you know, doing superintendent searches in the past, when you interview candidates that aren't from the district, you go to their district for one day and learn about them. You interview them once, maybe twice, and you try to make a decision based on that 1, 2, or 3 time conversation that you have with that candidate. With Amy, doing it internal, we came in with knowledge of her behavior and were able to address any questions we had about her potential. So I think it's actually more difficult for a candidate to pass when you do know so much about them and have had the experience working with them, knowing they're now on a stage and you're reflecting on what they've done over the past 10, 15 years being in the district. So while many think this was rushed, I'm not gonna say I'm not gonna disagree, but I think the process that we did is so far, and to see if we get to a decision tonight, is extremely thorough. It's honest, open to the public for feedback of any kind. It was just a good experience, an experience I didn't expect to have, but very pleasantly surprised at the great input from the community that we received, which is one of the most important responses to receive when you're hiring a superintendent. So I just want to say, as far as the process, and I also want to say, having this school committee make the decision, I think is very important. We've worked with Amy, we know the responsibilities of a superintendent, having the experience of being school committee members. We know the lines of regulations and laws and where we can step in and where we can't step in as a school committee member, and all that gray area where we want to be able to get more involved, but we can't. But at the same time, we know from experience what type of questions to look for, what type of behaviors to look for. So I am happy that it's the school committee making the decision, because we've earned that right through the years of experience, and we have the knowledge and the skills to hire a superintendent. So I just want that to be said about why we're hiring Amy before January as opposed to after January. So I just wanted to get that on record.
Yeah, I want to just kind of dovetail into what Melissa said. I too feel like it should be the school committee that decides that. We've worked with Amy extensively over the past 2 years, and we decided on the process with the help of Alicia Mallon from MASC, and I think hats off to Alicia for also making us all relatively comfortable with the process. A lot of us weren't sure how the internal candidate thing worked out, and she did a great job of explaining that, kind of putting it out to us. The process itself seemed very transparent right from the get-go. People had plenty of opportunity to weigh in on it, including parents, staff, administration, city officials, and I just don't think it could be any more transparent than that. And I think that at the end of the day, at least as far as I'm concerned, the process played out the way it was supposed to. The people that should be making the decision are making the decision, and I don't see any reason not to move forward.
Anything else?
Yeah, on the process, so we've learned from day one, when we first sat down to the consultant, there are 3 methods for picking a superintendent, and they're basically split a third apiece. So we're not reinventing the wheel here. And you know, you can have it, and to Melissa, what you said sort of popped into my head of, yeah, that's a great point. Believe it or not, you had a great point.
Yeah,
Was
really?
about the
I mean.
I'm just teasing. The fact that we really, and for my case, I've been interviewing Amy for 4 years. You know, as opposed to someone you can only have a couple of sit downs with, who are gonna give you the, you know, what are your strengths and weaknesses? Oh, I work too hard, that, you know, that kind of baloney canned response. Where we knew what Amy was saying was the real Amy. It wasn't just a show she was putting on to impress, you know, 7 members of the school committee. So the process, I thought, was very, very open, very fair, not unusual. And the fact is, we have been duly elected, and it is our prerogative to take this vote. And I certainly support us going forward with that. And I would also point out that we have many people on the city side, managers and other supervisors who started out and grew in the system. You know, some of them I appointed from assistants to directors or managers, and some went through that process under other mayors. And it's really been, we've had very great success with that. And in this very competitive world, you know, our mayors are stealing from each other all the time, managers, directors. Amy could find a job tomorrow
Absolutely.
in another district, probably making a lot more money than she's gonna get here. And we don't wanna lose, assume she's gonna stick around as our assistant if we choose somebody else. We've got the bird in hand that, in my opinion, we've had the motion yet, but has proven her worth to this district. And, well, let me cut the chase, I'm voting yes, it's that simple. And I would just urge the public out there to understand that this process, it would have been more political to not do this with this committee. And I think we need to move tonight and have Amy ready to step in July 1st.
And I just want to say, the idea of considering a promotion from within. I'm delighted that our district had somebody of that caliber that warranted our consideration. You know, to evaluate, to put through a process that's very public with a lot of public input to help us. We see her here, but it's nice to hear from parents who worked with her or who interview her and what's important. Through that process, we kind of hear what's important to them as well, which was part of the process, not just we know what the job is, but what do they hear from Amy and what are they seeing that resonates with them? And if they have heard something that was a concern, we had the opportunity for that. I will say that, you know, not one person said Amy would not be a great next superintendent. So, so that feedback alone, I think, you know, if anybody wonders if there's anything of a serious concern, there wasn't anything that even remotely had a concern. So, so that feedback is important as we now have this discussion and deliberation this evening. I'll make a vote so we can do that. I move that we hire Amy Pasquarello as the next superintendent of Gloucester Public Schools, contingent upon the successful negotiation of a contract.
Second.
Okay. 1 second. Okay, who would like to go first? Probably everybody has something to say, I'm sure.
I have something to say. Can I go?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so, a few things. You know, what you said about Amy having an interview every day for the past 4 years. I feel very strongly, having worked with Amy these 4 years and also having worked with Amy sort of in the trenches for the 2 weeks of the strike, that I saw someone under extreme stress, under extreme, you know, an extremely difficult situation, and with a team that was really feeling the pressure of all of it. And I watched Amy, despite the shouting, despite the banging, despite the incidents that happened that were upsetting to all of us, despite some vandalism, I watched Amy stay focused and clear on the goal and how to reach the goal. And she worked with Bill on small groups, focused on educational issues to make the changes we needed to get through. That was one of the hardest things to do in that moment, I think. And I feel so strongly, I saw Amy do that. And it's really quite remarkable to have seen that. It really changes how you see someone. A couple of comments that I wanted to bring to the community, just so they would understand. From administrators, we heard, these are their quotes from their responses. Amy is the leader of Gloucester Public Schools who could take GPS to the next level. I would be proud to work under Amy. She has a lot to share and teach. She has many qualities of a great leader. From staff, I believe Amy would be a perfect fit for this role. I believe Amy would be a great choice for superintendent. She is well known in the schools. She watches others and learns from what she sees and experiences. I fully endorse this candidate with no concerns or hesitation. From a parent, now I'm a parent, and so I came to the parent panel, and afterwards, there were parents I know who were just excited at the possibility of Amy coming in. And both from the special education perspective and from the challenging students to do better perspective, people were just excited. Among the things they wrote, she brings a love of education and children, an optimism, a desire to build and strengthen the community and to collaborate with parents and community members so that we can provide the best for our children. So this is a sampling of that. And I also wanted to say that on this issue of whether we did a bigger search or a smaller search, someone wrote something, and I don't seem to have it here, that really struck me. And what they said was that in Gloucester, you have to earn people's trust. And by Amy having earned trust for years now, she's already a year or two ahead. Because we don't have to have that now. Now we can just hit the ground running, which frankly, we need to do. We have a lot of work to do, and we need to hit the ground running. And I think with Amy at the helm. So I will vote yes for Amy Pasquarello for superintendent.
Yeah, sure. I have been inspired by Amy the past 2 years as a parent and a teacher and a school committee member. And you guys read all the extra good comments from the panels, all the ones that I highlighted. You know, she's just her mastery of curriculum, professionality, and her time as a teacher and as a principal and as assistant superintendent. I think that we couldn't have a better candidate, and I think that working within the system, she has, you know, like I hope that one day a few people write a little bit of what they wrote in her support. I hope that they write that for me, some aspect of life, because the overwhelming support for her is itself inspiring. So I enthusiastically will vote yes as well.
Mayor?
Well, I first met Amy in a fifth grade performance at East Gloucester School. And obviously it's a very happy time. She's smiling, bubbly. And to your point, Laura, the strike, she wasn't as smiley and bubbly, but she was calm and professional. And she certainly set the tone. And Bill, you get a lot of credit too, but the two of you in those small groups broke the logjam. You know, and I think she earned, well, she already had my respect, but she certainly put it up to 11 during that 2-week period. And so, and for the record, I did watch the interview. I wasn't able to make the committee meeting last week. And she had the right answers. And I'm the fact that the principals and the director of the preschool are all on board, that says a lot, you know, and the feedback that I'll quote it from the public is a really good sign. So Amy is the right person at this time, and I enthusiastically going to give my vote of yes as well.
Go ahead.
Yeah, hi. Yeah, you know, Amy is a very impressive candidate. You know, that was exemplified during the strike. You know, she was certainly integral in resolving that and assuring teachers that, you know, we had their best interests at heart, as we always do. It's hard to see it sometimes, but we really do. I'm looking more towards the future and I'm thinking about how, how her priorities might change from the current superintendent. And I think she has a mind towards the future, especially with her experience with technology, integrating technology into education and with this advent of AI. We really need to have that perspective in advance of it becoming a problem in our schools and how to leverage that to better educate our students rather than technology being a crutch, which I'm afraid it might end up being if it's not done correctly. So, have certain misgivings about having a single candidate to review. But it is the best single candidate I think we could have put forward to exclusively consider. So I will be voting yes.
Melissa?
So coming into this, of course, like others, I had boxes to check off. In other words, I knew Amy, I appreciate Amy, I think Amy is extremely capable, but I had my own little list in my head that I wanted to check off. Hate talking about the strike, but I am gonna bring it up as well. The strike, brought attention, a lot of issues in the district. It was a very difficult time for everybody. You had some parents that were out promoting it, you had some parents that were very disturbed by it. You had kids that just wanted to come to school. There was triggers of, are we not gonna come back to school? And is this like COVID? So there was a lot of emotion going on about the strike. So that's why I'm talking about it. And I'm hoping after tonight, we don't have to talk about it anymore. But knowing Amy, knowing her compassion, knowing her ability to build relationships, knowing how in the moment she is, whether it's a difficult situation or not, right away, that is what drew me to Amy to like, okay, we're talking superintendent now, even though she was just hired as assistant superintendent, but she's checking a box that is very important to me about building relationships and dealing with difficult situations. The next box, which is my most important box, is accountability. Amy walks into a difficult situation, whether it be with staff, with parents, with the community. I've seen her interact. She has this ability to be so confident, so professional, the calmness, having a lot of skills and knowledge, and being able to take a situation that could turn into something really bad, but bring in what do we do that's right, and who do we hold accountable to make that right happen. Amy's best skill in my ability, in my opinion, is the accountability aspect. And I really believe the issues that we have, parents' concerns of students at O'Malley, behavioral issues with the kids in class, disrespecting teachers. I really believe that for that particular reason to come in and straighten that out is going to happen. And that very much excites me to think that I'm that excited about accountability, but I am. She has proven to us that she is a collaborative person. She likes to work with those. I would like to see, my concerns came from the staff part of the process that we went through. I was very curious to see what their reactions were. And I was very proud and delighted to see that the feedback from teachers and paras was positive. To me, that was another, okay, we're going in the right direction. Because I'm somebody that could be persuaded if that necessarily wasn't the case, then okay. We might not have someone that's ready to start day one. But what we learned from the staff's response is they appear to want to have her as a superintendent. So the arms are open the day she starts. Like there's already relationships that are built and then are gonna grow. And I believe that Amy is gonna lift up our staff and really listen to them and empower them in a way that they feel heard. Not saying that our current superintendent didn't do that, but I just feel like Amy has a little bit extra in her right now that's gonna hopefully start that healing process, and we can move on from all the negativity and talk about what's really important, which is student achievement and looking at data and all that fun stuff that we do on a regular basis. So, Amy has offered good suggestions, when it comes to budget issues. When she's talking data, I don't know if she wrote the data, but she is extremely knowledgeable about data. We rely on that to make decisions, both budgetary decisions and program decisions. To me, Amy is a superstar when it comes to that knowledge and ability. And I think of, like I said, I think I've done 6 or 7 superintendent searches. This is one of my most confident decisions to make this night in a process that was quicker with less people. But knowing that we heard the best about her and didn't hear anything negative about her. So kudos to Amy for opening up and letting us really get to know her, and for her dedication to our students and our staff. And I'm just looking forward to the next leader of this district when it happens next year, and she 100% has my support. I also want to just add too, I've spoken to other community people that weren't involved in this, that wanted to be in there, and they've been paying attention. Did not hear anything negative feedback. I can only hope though that somehow, because all the information in these responses is so awesome, that we can somehow release that to the public. Maybe redact names or something, but there's so much good in here of why we're hiring the superintendent. And it needs to be shown to the world so that those out there that are questioning our procedure can know how we got to the decision we're getting to tonight. So thank you.
Yeah, just, try not to take too much time, but I think the first thing that comes to my mind is the fact that superintendent of any school, Gloucester Public Schools, any school is not an easy job. And it can really be a difficult position, and I'm gonna try to keep that in mind when if she becomes a superintendent, that I need to remember to show grace with her as well as other people involved in the school system. She might make a mistake or two, or out of the gate, and that's okay. It's okay. We can handle it as a school district. With regards to my personal thoughts, I had the pleasure of working with Amy during the strike. Like Melissa, I don't even like to talk about the strike anymore, but the two things that stood out to me about Melissa, one is, about Melissa as well, but about Amy, is she's a natural leader. I like people that are natural leaders. She is also a people person, and I think that's probably the most important attribute of the job. She's just so good with people. She's a great listener, and she's willing to work towards solutions. Generally I like people that are confident in what they do for a profession, and they can deliver on that. And she's been able to deliver on that on numerous occasions, whether it be presenting data to us, whether it be working on the strike, whether it be working on the new improved student learning team. And she comes into it with not only a can-do attitude, but we can accomplish this type of attitude. So I really, really appreciate that about her. Public education especially, is a people business, and she is certainly a people person. And when I think about her, I think of the fact that really to me, that's her strongest strength. I'm not saying I'm a people person, but I like to go into stuff thinking the relational part of what's about to transpire is the most important part of that. And she is hands down one of the best people I've ever seen at that. We all have a vision for the Gloucester Public Schools. That vision includes chasing things like character, integrity, accountability, as Melissa mentioned, honesty, responsibility, and progress, not only with our students, but with our staff and the people that we work with. She can certainly do that. She's the person to help lead us, to help fulfill that vision. And tonight, I enthusiastically support Amy Pasquarello as our next superintendent. Thank you.
As for the process, I've been on the committee for a long time and I've been through 4 superintendents. Amy will be the 5th. And as those who have been on broader searches know, when you're interviewing other people, you get a glimpse of them and you, and sometimes you have a lot more information. But in this case with Amy, I am so proud that our superintendent, Ben Lummis, has developed and allowed Amy to grow. There is no I in Superintendent Lummis. He has empowered, he puts his administrators in front of us to deliver and to answer questions. He is totally on top of everything, but he lets them shine and he lets them learn. And he has done that for Amy as a principal and then in her role as assistant superintendent. And to me, I am proud of the way this organization has been run for the last 5 years under Ben, because I think a lot of our administrators have grown tremendously. And that says a lot for our capability as a district. You know, I think it gets noticed and, you know, even though we have challenges, I think, I just think the structure and the personnel is, you know, generally a very much can-do attitude. And as a team, they all feel that we are going to continue to do better by our kids. So that enthusiasm, you know, comes loud and clear through Amy. But doing the reference checks with Amy, people talked about really her ability to do the hard work, just to do a lot of work. And I think the one concern was delegating, because she knows she can do things. She'll need help on how to offload things. And she'll learn, and you know, she'll have to learn. She won't have time, and we'll help her and support her that way. That's why we have other people in different areas of administration and you know, as far down as you can push it, empowering people and collaborating with people. I think of the curriculum teams, you know, Amy facilitated it, but that was pretty much teacher led in terms of how they evaluated things and how they voted on things and what they came to, and it's up to them to implement it with her support. So I'm just really happy that she's developed within Gloucester. What comes through loud and clear to me is her love of Gloucester. You know, I've heard that from a couple other administrators in the district, like Greg Bach, and just that connection with our families, the emotional attachment and dedication to our families and our community is something we all share, right? It's you know, we love everything about this community and we're going to work to just continue making it better. And Amy will definitely, you know, that will be obvious to everybody. I think, you know, stress the ability to have difficult discussions. I mean, I think when you have challenges, there's always going to be difficult discussions. And have somebody who can have those in a respectful, productive way and get to a place where both, you know, where the parties feel they've been heard, maybe not necessarily to get everything they want, but I think it's important that they feel heard. And that came through loud and clear, I think, by anybody that has worked with Amy. You know, the idea that she has high standards for herself, I mean, it's obvious. She, you know, she puts a lot of thought and care into everything she brings to us. And I will say, like Bill said, the superintendent role is an enormous role. And people wonder why superintendents are among the highest paid in any community. And because it's really a huge job. It is huge. And imagine having that responsibility for 3,000 kids. I mean, that is a weight. And when something doesn't go well for a student, I can just imagine how heartbreaking it is as you move up the ladder for that responsibility. And so I just admire people that have that total dedication. Amy will have she will have a mentor. The superintendent program is great from MASS. I think that will fill in the areas of which she hasn't either had the opportunity or hasn't had enough experience doing. Everybody's been a new superintendent at some point, and you can't have the whole breadth of experience until sometimes you're faced with doing it. You know, like a lot of us, we've had different challenges that we're like, oh, this is new and different, but we, you know, get together and we deal with the challenge. I think Amy will be, you know, ready to just continue the progress we've made and know what the next thing is that we should be doing to have even more impact on our kids and our families. So I think just that whole idea of a transition from Ben to Amy will be a huge benefit to our students and our families and to us. So of course, I enthusiastically support Amy, and I know the community feedback has confirmed that enthusiasm as well.
We do a roll call vote.
We'll do a roll call vote.
Chairperson Clancy,
Yes.
Mr. McKean,
Yes.
Ms. Mason. Yes. Mr. Melvin,
Yes,
Ms. Prince,
Excited and thrilled to vote yes for the first female superintendent in Gloucester.
Mayor Verga,
Yes.
Mr. Minio.
Yes.
Okay, that motion is unanimous, and I hope Amy plugged into this meeting under somebody else's name, which I don't see her name.
She's iPhone too.
But I'm happy for her,
That's it.
I'm happy for us, and we'll, definitely have a productive rest of the school year. And welcome her with open arms at the transition time.
Good news. Good news.
Yay, congratulations. No question, because usually we go to now enter into negotiations. Is negotiations now, or is it in the next budget? Like, how do we, it's this budget this time now. So how does that work? Or if you don't know, we can answer it next time we meet.
I will consult with our
I'm just
attorney.
wondering the timing on that, because usually you hire a superintendent right away, but this isn't until
Right,
next year. So I'm just wondering how that
Right.
process works.
right, and I think we'll try to get to that in a timely manner so that when the budget for next year is coming
Plan.
through, it'll include those considerations as well. Okay,
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you, everybody who has signed in tonight. We hope you're as excited as we are.
Good night.
Good night.